Like, are you a Trump fan or not? Because, yeah, obviously not. Yeah, I mean, by the way, how is Ketanji Brown Jackson's Ivy League credentials impressive if she got in with affirmative action?
What the dude, that's just being racist. Like, why the would you say that? That's just racism. Delusional woke people getting destroyed. Number 5 from Veracity with 231k views. Let's go, baby. I'm ready.
The comments made in this video are intended solely for entertainment purposes and are not intended to harm or offend anyone.
In a world of heated debates and clashing ideologies,
Okay, it's a good thing they put that disclaimer. Otherwise, I'd feel like this was intended to offend people.
some claim to be woke, fighting for social justice. But what happens when their arguments meet cold
Wait, what was that clip?
ideologies? Some claim to be woke, fighting for social justice.
Nice. I think that's the, those are the guys that spray paint like a bunch of like national monuments and shit for global warming, right? I think they're based.
But what happens when their arguments meet cold, hard facts? I've compiled 2 instances where traditional views clash with progressive ideologies. This is when woke people get owned instantly. Part 5, starting with the time when a delusional, purple-haired transgender faces off against a protective
Transgender, nice.
father during a school board meeting. This scene opens with an unexpected twist. Listen closely to his opening statement.
You say you care about the students, but half of you are not sure what gender is.
True.
Especially transgender.
Probably.
I know the lawyer said transsexual earlier. That's not the correct term. It's trans.
Depending on the context, it could be a correct term, but most people, like colloquially speaking, a lot of people who don't understand it will just say transsexual to be offensive. But if you recognize the difference between gender and sex, then you should also recognize there's a difference between being transgender and transsexual. You can be a transgender person without being a transsexual person. You really are usually not transsexual without being transgender, though. Like, that's not really a thing, usually. I'm sure it can happen, but usually when you change sex, you're also changing gender, so.
Transgender. I'm a transgender woman. My pronouns are she, her, and I will only accept
I understand the
those pronouns.
point, though.
I will not be addressed any other way. And in the workspace, I'm protected by that. Our students should be too, especially when they're not over 18 and don't have a voice.
True.
So I'm just imploring you to go beyond what, just really consider what is this fight really about? Why is it such entrenched? I know we hear a lot about religious liberty, and quite honestly, I grew up in Christian education all through college. I don't remember any of my doctrinal classes mentioning only male and female, and that's the way it should be. If you feel it is, awesome, good. You get to believe that. You don't get to impose those beliefs on anybody else.
This just feels evil. Like, look at these people. They look weird. You should hate them and not give them basic respect and dignity. No, that's true. No, they very specifically picked this person for a reason. They'd never pick my school board meeting. Yeah, they never pick this one.
Because I'm a passionate advocate for parents' rights. I believe in parents' rights to affordable prenatal care and childbirth procedures, as well as the equipment required to care for their infants, to maternity and paternity leave from work so they may spend time with their children in their most formative years, to affordable groceries and school supplies for their children, to ensure their children receive accurate...
It's literally just aesthetics. They would never show this one because I'm, in this at least, I'm a jacked dude. Who is that guy? That would be me.
Education regarding the history of our nation from teachers who do not live paycheck to paycheck. The meals for their children, both at school and at home, and for their children to not go hungry or accumulate lunch debt.
He does look cool with based opinions, yeah. I don't want to play that whole thing, but you guys get the idea. They'll never show something like that. It's purely aesthetics. That's why people who look like me need to speak up and speak out.
And that's actually what religious liberty is that your right to believe
so that people who look like this queen can live their lives peacefully.
As something else is also his right to be protected. So
he argues against imposing beliefs on others, yet immediately insists on acceptance of his own pronouns. It's crazy how an adult struggles.
Yes, it's just, it's literally like if you mess up somebody's pronouns or call them ma'am instead of sir, when they're a sir, and they say, no, actually it's sir. And then you go, well, I clocked you as a man, so you're, or sorry, I clocked you as a woman, so I'm actually going to call you a woman or whatever. Like, that's stupid. That's just rude and hateful. Don't do that.
Struggling with personal identity issues, attempts to influence decisions.
She's not struggling with personal identity issues. She literally was like, yeah, I go by she, her, and I won't accept any other pronouns. That's not struggling with personal identity issues. She knows her identity probably better than this narrator does. Okay? Maybe even better than I do.
Affecting children. But wait for the father's response because he calmly picks apart the argument, leaving everyone in the room offended by his words.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous that you guys are even considering letting bathrooms and locker rooms being co-ed. I don't care how they identify or whatever kind of delusion people live in, whatever kind of mental disease that they have.
It's just wrong.
Boys are boys and girls are girls. It's simple and basic. It's always been that way, and that's why we have separate bathrooms. I'm not going to allow my girls or my boys to shower with the opposite sex.
Yeah, same-sex showers only, right? Your kids are allowed to be around other naked kids as long as they're all the same sex. I think it's gross in general. Like, just tell your kid to make separate showers for kids. I don't think that we should be putting a bunch of naked kids into the same room, regardless of their sex. Maybe I'm weird for that, but that's my opinion.
Because I don't want them fondled or tainted by one of these strange people.
See, like, again, you are so much more likely even like to be sexually abused by a man. Like, let's say that you have a son, right? And your son goes into the boys' locker room. Okay, he is so much more likely to be taken advantage of in there by another man than he would be if, like, you know, let's say he were to transition into a girl and now it's your daughter, your trans daughter. Then your trans daughter would be to take advantage of women in the girls' locker room. Yeah, stalls are nice. I say just make it all separate. The kids should not be naked around each other. That's just my 2 cents.
Sexually, and that's what lingers in these groups of homosexuality and transgenderism.
Oh, homosexuality and transgenderism. Nice. So homophobia as well.
Sexually explicit.
Well, if it's homosexuality too, that ruins your argument, because that would imply that your kid shouldn't be around other boys either if they're a boy, or your daughter shouldn't be around other girls if they're a girl. That destroys your argument. This is shitty.
Ideology.
It's not sexually explicit. There are gay kids and there are trans kids. If you think that that's sexually explicit, you're a freak. You're a degenerate.
Franklin, she brought home books about how it's okay that two parents are gay in a household.
True, it is okay.
Boys to be girls and girls to be boys. What kind of delusion are you guys living in? Are people really...
Okay, you're about to say the R slur. I can understand at least the confusion around transgender people. I can understand that one. What I can't understand is people who still believe that you can't be gay parents. That, like, being gay as parents is like a bad thing. Yeah, caught right before the R slur. If anything, the studies show that gay parents do better than straight parents. We look at the statistics here. 95 female same-sex parents, 95 different sex parent households with children 6 to 17 years old. No differences were observed between household types on family relationships or any child outcomes. Same-sex parent households scored higher on parenting stress, which is unfortunate, than different sex parent households. No significant interactions between household type and family relationships or household type and parenting stress were found for any child outcomes. Children with female same-sex parents and different sex parents demonstrated no differences in outcomes, despite female same-sex parents reporting more parenting stress. And that stress, future studies may reveal the sources of the parenting stress. That stress probably comes from social sources, right? From people saying, well, you can't be like two mothers. You have to have a mother and a father. It's homophobia. That's usually where that stress comes from. But according to this first study that we pulled up, there's no difference. Yeah, turn the ad blocker off and look at what the children with gay, lesbian, transgender, or other sexual minority parents fare as well as or better than children with parents of the opposite sex, according to research published Monday in BMJ Global Health, further undermining a common but unsupported argument against equal marriage and adoption as growing number of states enact laws curtailing LGBTQ rights. It's not an important factor in development. Okay, you guys get the idea. So most research shows that there's either no difference or that people with gay parents actually fare better.
still having these talks? Like, what is going on here? Like,
we don't use that word.
No, it's a word. I can use that if I want.
Say the
Yes,
N-word
I can.
then. Say the
It's
N-word.
ridiculous how schools are now helping to spread this virus among small children. Giving them books that mentions anything woke is completely absurd. The father lays out harsh truths without sugarcoat.
Mentions
He's
anything
fed up
woke,
with progressive
which is anything they
ideology
don't
and
like.
doesn't hide it. For him and other parents, the idea of their daughters sharing bathrooms with
He didn't school her. Everything that he said was stupid and wrong. He didn't school her at all.
biological males is infuriating and scary. But wait, he isn't done. He has more truth bombs to drop.
I can't believe people are so
boy.
open-minded. Their brains have literally fell out. Does nobody know why we had opposite sport teams and opposite bathrooms for boys and girls?
See, here's the thing. It's a lot easier to just drop lies than it is to sit and explain the truth. Because you can just say like, well, there's a reason we have opposite gender bathrooms and a reason we have opposite gender sports. Meanwhile, to explain that, I need to sit here for 10 minutes and be like, no, actually, we have separate bathrooms because there's, historically been misogyny and women are put at higher risk of being sexually abused. And, they've been sexualized to such an extent that we feel like we need to separate them from men. The sports categories are different because of women actually succeeding in a lot of men's competitions. And I got to go back and show the research for all that. It's stupid. And these people are just wrong.
To protect both sexes from one another? If they want to play some delusional game,
protect
we have
sexes
to
from one
allow
another.
it, then they should have their own bathroom and their own support, their own sports.
This is why, but okay, I believe that yes, there is a problem with cis men, particularly taking advantage of women, both cis and trans, actually, and women just being at a higher risk of being taken advantage of by men than by other groups, other genders. I recognize that, and I recognize the need for special protections at this point in time, but I don't think that that's an innate behavior trait of cis men. I think that that is socially learned and taught to men, those aggressive tendencies, those barbaric tendencies that some of them have, and that can eventually be phased out. And once that's phased out, you just co-ed everything, okay? You commingle bathrooms, you commingle locker rooms, you don't worry about gender anymore, or sex, okay? You just don't worry about it.
It's as simple
and then
as
you're all
that.
just people.
They shouldn't be allowed to women to come and shower in the boys' locker room.
And bathrooms
I
are
don't
somewhere
want one of these
toilets, yeah.
succubuses coming in there spoiling my young gentlemen.
Yeah, there's a reason we had black and white bathrooms separated too. Good point. The reason was racism.
You know?
Okay, we crossed
Hey,
the
what?
line.
It's a word. I can use it if I want. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Sorry,
what?
man. Get him the
Yeah.
f out. You suck.
So yeah, either way, I think you guys all must have some type of mental disease, even considering this kind of thing.
Sir.
Not like
You know,
this guy,
I
who's
don't
clearly
understand what's
mentally
going on
well.
with you guys that we're even considering this. You guys need to go no, absolutely not, and come back.
I hope this guy's kids aren't gay or trans, that they don't end up being gay or trans, because he'll absolutely kick them out. He absolutely this guy has a child abuser phrenology.
To reality, dude, you guys need to embrace God. All this kind of talk, dude, from the name of the flag, dude, it is against
Thank
God.
you, sir. Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Against
okay,
God,
thank you.
yes, the
Notice
religious
how nobody
argument.
cut in when the trans
Fuck your
person was
God,
talking,
man.
but the second this guy starts
Tell God
dropping
to suck my
facts,
dick.
everyone's trying to shut him up. We're living in a world where smart people
Good,
have to
they
keep
should.
quiet just so they don't hurt some idiot's feelings. But if you thought
What the fuck was that? That's straight up just like assaulting somebody. What?
in a world where smart people
This
have
man
to
just
keep
assaulted
quiet
him.
just so
What? Oh wait, this guy's grabbing the flag. Okay, yeah, don't do that. Don't grab even if you're like going up against counter protesters, don't grab their flags and shit. I still don't have very much sympathy for this guy because he laid hands on him first. But you're also not allowed to grab things from other people's hands, so don't do that.
they don't hurt some idiot's feelings. But
He
if you
goes and
thought
grabs
that
his
was
fucking
wild,
hair.
wait till you see this
I think
clip
that's a
when Charlie
disproportional
Kirk left a
response.
woke gender activist speechless. Clip when Charlie Kirk left a woke gender activist speechless.
So my question is about what you said earlier about Justice Ketanji Brown's Jackson's qualifications for the Supreme Court. And
20
you
to
mentioned
24
that-
years in prison. Oh, okay, sorry. I'm sorry. This guy's based. I'm sorry.
She was unable to define what a woman is, and I'd like to compare that to Justice Barrett.
I'm paying attention.
So, Justice Jackson went to a public high school, attended an Ivy League law school, clerked for the Supreme Court, was a public defender, served on the Sentencing
Right.
Commission, was a district judge, and served on the Court of Appeals. And as for Justice Barrett, she was a Supreme Court clerk, and she also sat in Court of Appeals. And when she was being questioned by the Senate during her confirmation, she was asked to name the freedoms of the First Amendment, which she struggled with. So my question is,
I see.
What makes Justice Justice Barrett more qualified than Justice Brown?
So first of all, what does your shirt say? I can't see that.
Trump 22.
Yeah, don't ever go out wearing a shirt like a meme shirt. Like, I wouldn't even go out wearing this hat, for instance, just because, like, I've done it once before and people will immediately clock you as like a Trump supporter. I just advise, don't wear shirts that say Trump on them. Like if a conservative were to wear a shirt that said Harris on it and then like 20 to 24 years in jail or whatever, you'd think that at first glance that they're a Harris supporter. Like, they just wouldn't do that. They wear shirts like, let's go Brandon, for instance. That's the closest you'll get.
24 years in prison.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
got it. Yeah, got it. But we could talk about that in
You're going to get clipped 10 quintillion times? True.
a second. I was like seeing double. I was
Dubsy, try to fix as much of that as you can in post. I don't know.
like, are you a Trump fan or not? Because, yeah, obviously not. Yeah, I mean, by the way, how is Ketanji Brown Jackson's Ivy League credentials impressive if she got in with affirmative action?
What the f***? Dude, that's just being racist. Like, why the f*** would you say that? That's just racism.
Why is that impressive? And by the way, Amy
Prove
Coney
it.
Barrett did her entire hearing without a shred of notes.
Wait, prove it. He can't prove that.
And by the way, Amy Coney Barrett did her entire hearing without a shred of notes in front of her. You remember that? She had nothing but
Okay, that's stupid. That speaks to her not being prepared for the questions.
a notepad, all from memory. Ketanji
He's like, well, she's black, so therefore she got in with affirmative action.
Brown Jackson, I will just ask you, do you think it's important that one of the 9 people
true, Stella?
determining the most important interpretation of our laws knows what a woman is?
Yeah, a woman is anybody who identifies as one. There you go. And frankly, like, that's not an important question. No. Like, tell me why, legally speaking, that's important. Tell me why.
Oh,
Come on, man!
right.
You can do it!
Well, my counter
Oh, no, he's shaking so bad. Oh, God. This is painful.
to that is that we shouldn't really be seeing the world in black and white. And
Just say, no, I don't think that's important. Why? Why is that important? Tell me why. Challenge him! Challenge him!
a woman it's more than what meets the eye for a definition.
No, it's not. No, we should see the world through male and female. Yeah.
Why?
Why?
There you go. Thank you. Why? Why?
It's clear this guy's lost the
No, why? No, answer the question. Wait, let him answer. Why? That's what I was waiting for. Just ask why. If you just ask them the question why, they completely crumble. Trust me.
argument from his very first question, but he's too stubborn to back down. Instead of admitting defeat, he keeps pushing, digging himself into a deeper hole with every word. Now let's see how long he tries to hold up against Charlie's sharp comebacks. Charlie's not just answering, he's hitting back with rock-solid facts and logic.
No, it's not. No, we should see the world through male and female.
Okay, here we go.
Why?
Why? Good question.
Well, why? Because I live in reality,
That's not an answer. That does not explain anything.
not in Narnia or some sort of weird created academic.
That doesn't
abstract
explain the
space
importance.
That doesn't exist.
So why shouldn't
Hello,
a
big
person
boys.
be socially welcome to identify?
No, come on. Just tell him, hey, that doesn't explain the answer. That's not an answer. Because you live in reality. Okay, so do I. I recognize male and female. Why should we recognize male and female in the court of law? Like, why is that important in law? Challenge it.
Identify with gender outside of the binary.
Well, anyone can pretend to be something they're not, but that doesn't make them the thing that they're not.
Gender is a social construct. So if you say you're a woman, you're a woman. Like, you have, if somebody says they're a woman, you have no way of proving them wrong unless they're being disingenuous about it, in which case you usually have evidence to the contrary. Like, if some dude, like if Charlie Kirk, for instance, was to be like, well, what if I just say I'm a woman so I could go to the bathroom and see some titties? And then you like call yourself, like you're this like bearded dude and call yourself a woman. You go into the bathroom and then you stare at women who are like you like look under the stalls, which is illegal for a girl to do as well. Okay. But like, let's just say that that's what you do. Yeah, you're probably not a woman. You're demonstrating that with your actions. You're just calling yourself one so you can go into the women's bathroom and be a creep, which doesn't really happen, by the way. If some dude wants to go into the bathroom and be a creep, he's just going to do it. Okay? He doesn't have to identify as a woman to do it. Because guess what? Men are allowed in the women's bathrooms. They're allowed to be in there, legally speaking, unless there's like a private property rule. Like if you're in a restaurant and the rule is only men can go in the men's bathroom, only women can go in the women's bathroom, and that's the rule. But then what are they going to do to stop you if you say you're a woman? They'd have to dick check you or do a chromosome check or something. So like, you know, I just don't think there's any good way of keeping the bathroom separated, legally speaking. I live in reality is the same type of argument as because I said so. It really is. He thinks he's smart. He thinks he's so smart for saying, oh, I live in reality. All you have to do is say, that's not an answer to the question. Tell me why it's important with specific details.
Can I be black?
No.
Oh, but why can't I socially become black? Blackface.
There is a phenomenon of like being trans race, right? But usually because being black has to do with not just your skin color, but also like cultural features, that usually has to do with like white people growing up in largely black dominated neighborhoods where they adopt the, you know, they adopt a lot of the culture, they adopt a lot of the colloquialisms. And so in some ways you could consider that person to be like culturally black. That's really what you're referring to with that. But that's used disingenuously by Charlie Kirk to get a gotcha on trans people. There's really no medical phenomenon of like having racial dysphoria. That doesn't happen. Not really.
Face, right? I could pretend, wear camouflage, masquerade as something that I'm not, right? How's that different than a trans person?
Race and gender are two completely separate things. They have nothing to do with each other. And
God, I hate a smile. It's so creepy.
Existence of being transgender.
Have you guys seen the Charlie Kirk Meat Canyon? Oh, shit. This is the image I was referring to, which I think is a perfect representation of Charlie Kirk, personally. Thank you, Papa Meat, for forcing me to stop stream. I appreciate it.
Gender does not imply the existence of being transracial.
So you can pretend to say that you have ovaries when you don't, but you can't.
That's not what trans people do.
Pretend to be a black person.
What transgender women are claiming to have ovaries?
No, because there's a history of people doing that to be offensive and like make fun of black people. There's a history with blackface, so that's why you can't do it. In a vacuum, if you painted your place black and there's no history of black oppression or people doing that for like, what's the word? I can't remember the word. It's like old-timey racism is what it is. Okay, that's why it's like considered super offensive. In a vacuum, it wouldn't matter. But we live in a time and in a context where it does matter. That's why you can't do blackface.
There's lots of men that pretend to have...
Why'd you enter stream for a minute? Let's just say that Papa Meat had some interesting content on his Twitter feed. Thank you, Papa Meat.
Ovaries. In fact, the CDC guidance says right now that men can chest feed. Do you think men can chest feed?
That's not.
Yes. Well, yeah, actually, some men can. Even if you're not trans. You can be a trans man who can. You can be like a cis man sometimes. Cis men can lactate. Yes, cis men can lactate. So this is a losing talking point by Charlie Kirk.
Sole criterion for being.
So let me ask you a question.
Not all and
Charlie
not
keeps
most,
tearing
probably.
this guy's arguments apart, using the dude's own logic.
Yeah, this dude is not doing the best job. But again, they would never show something like my Matt Walsh appearance, which, you know, let's pull that up real quick.
A child, do
no,
you?
But no, I do not. But I'm
okay,
asking
so you do support abortion?
No,
you
you're
don't.
avoiding my question. Do you
I've
support?
answered your question. You haven't answered mine.
You have not answered the question. Yes
is
or no?
the unborn child a human being or
support,
not?
I'm not letting you get away from this, man. The question is, do you support a child giving birth to their child? Do you support?
You are not
a
answering
child?
the question.
I asked
Let's try this again.
Wait, who's asking the questions here, man? Come on.
Let's try this again. I do not support I do not support
and
the
I'm not
direct
letting him get away
intentional
from the
murder of
question.
a child under any circumstance.
Right, so then you don't support a 13-year-old child giving birth to their rapist child because that could kill them. It has a very good chance of doing so via hemorrhage, toxemia, all kinds of complications, permanent disability. There are all kinds of complications with that. So
I'm going to try this.
Why do you support?
Okay. We're going to. No.
Okay,
Hold on one second.
I appreciate your time.
No. Come back here.
Why? You're not answering my question.
Because you're the nurse.
Anyway, point being, they would never show that. in one of these videos.
Logic against him.
Never.
But don't think it's over
Matt
yet.
Walsh
We're just
himself
getting
never
to the
shows
good
it.
part. Just when you thought Charlie couldn't hit any harder, he pulls out the big guns. He drops that simple yet devastating question. What is a woman? Watch what happens next. His response to this basic question is going to leave you shaking your head in disbelief.
So let me ask you a question. What is a woman?
Anybody who identifies as
A woman is someone who identifies as one.
Answer the question without saying the word woman. You can't say the
Okay, you answer it.
word woman. That's called circular reasoning. It's like saying a tree
Every definition waters back down to circular reasoning.
is something that looks like a tree. So I'll ask again, what is a woman?
Yes, a tree is something that looks like a tree. I'll prove it. Why is this proving it? Anybody know? We consider this a tree. This is not really a tree. Palm trees are not actually trees the same way that coniferous and deciduous trees are. They're like in a completely different plant category, but yet we consider it a tree. Interesting that. I just find that very interesting, colloquially speaking. So yes, a tree literally is anything that we call a tree. Yes.
A woman is a person who...
No, come on, you're letting him dominate the conversation, man. This is awful.
Lives a lifestyle aligned with feminine characteristics, not necessarily your chromosomes or your genitals.
Okay, decent answer.
Someone who just wears a dress. So what you are doing is you are reducing womanhood to a costume.
No, you're reducing womanhood to genitalia. That's what you're doing. You're reducing womanhood to genitalia. That's what you need to say next. No, come on. You're reducing womanhood to genitalia. That's what Charlie Kirk's doing. Which is disgusting, by the way.
No. So, are you suggesting that, like, a transgender woman goes about her day pretending to be a woman, but then when she gets home, she starts acting like a man?
No.
That's actually a great point. No, that's a great point. That was a great retort, actually. I'm impressed.
But then when she gets home, she starts acting like a man?
It's not just a
delusional
costume.
in every part of life. I understand that, but that doesn't mean they're not delusional. There's a series of mental conditions where you...
No, but that discredits your point. It's not just a costume, clearly. You're also calling it a delusion, okay? Which, is also wrong, but it discredits your point. It's not just a costume.
To pretend to be a wolf. Can you be trans species too? Does your own mental condition...
No, because animals are not... You're literally comparing women to animals. You're comparing women to animals. Good job.
External...
I love it when conservatives compare trans people to animals.
Reality, yes or no?
What's the question?
Species too? Does your own mental condition dictate external reality, yes or no?
It can in some ways. A trans person, if your mental condition, quote unquote, is that you feel like a woman, then other people, and you dress like a woman and you act like a woman and you take on women, positions typically assigned to females, whatever, and you functionally are a woman in society, then yes, you are affecting the world around you. It's because they think trans women are animals? Of course they do.
Not necessarily.
Okay, then why do you believe that a biological man can become something that he is not?
No, the answer is, well, if you act like a woman, then and you look like a woman, then people are going to treat you like a woman.
Because he thinks it.
Because gender is not interchangeable with sex.
That's true.
Yeah, right. So there are 0 genders. There are only 2 sexes. Gender's a made-up term that started in the academy in the 19...
All terms are made up, first of all. Second of all, I agree that gender's made up, completely made up. It's not rooted in any science or anything. But if you recognize that, then you should also recognize that gender identities are, like, if they're constructed from the ground up, then you should be able to recognize that a trans woman is valid in her identity. You should be able to recognize the validity of any gender because they're all equally valid. Which is to say, I don't think any of them are valid. I think that gender is bullshit and should be abolished.
1960s, talking about sex, which is the only thing that actually can be proven and that matters, XXXY, I will ask the question again.
Well, the XXXY thing is funny because there's also XXX, there's X, there's XXY, there's XYY. You can't just have 2 Y chromosomes, but, there's there are different all sex. Here, hold on. What are X and Y chromosome variations? XXY, Klinefelter, XYY, XXYY, XXXY, XXXXY, And then we have X, XXX, XXXX, and XXXXX. You know, and you can say this is males and females, and you're a male if you have a Y chromosome, but you have a lot, actually, of, you have a lot of variation when it comes to, like, even genitalia. Like, your genitals can look completely different if you're XXY. It may not just be a penis and balls. You know, like, there's all kinds of funky things that can happen. It's not just XX and XY.
Again, why is it that a man can suddenly become a dress and can be treated exactly the same as a woman that is biologically, not just biologically different, but somebody has a different brain, a different hormonal system, menstruate, have children?
Well, if you want to go the route of brain and hormones, first of all, trans women's brains are wired much the same way as cis women's brains, which is backed up by studies. And secondly, the hormones actually can be the same as well, because hormones are something that you can inject artificially and override your natural hormone structure. So in both of those ways, you're just wrong again, Charlie Kirk.
Children, I'll be very honest with you. It is,
and trans people, a lot of trans people have children, actually.
So unbelievably insulting to women to have men have to lecture that all it takes is some weird dude with testosterone can put makeup on, wear a thong and a dress, and he suddenly becomes
it's not always a thong, man.
Here's at the essence of the issue, is that no matter how much surgery...
If you look like a woman, you act like a woman, you talk like a woman, you do things that women would normally do, then you're a woman, okay? If you identify as a woman, you're probably going to act like a woman, you're probably going to talk like one and sound like one and dress like one. Not that you have to, but usually that's what happens, and then we call you a woman, yes.
You do, no matter how many drugs you take,
the fact that you care so much is
being
weird.
The thing that you were born. You don't get to determine your reality by a stroke of the will.
But why does it matter? Why do you care so much?
I don't deny for a second that the trans person thinks that they are. Certain people think that they're younger than they are. Some people think they're taller than they are. Some people think they're richer than they are. Some people think they're innocent when they're not, like Bob Menendez. There's plenty of delusional people in this world. It's up for society to say no to the delusional and yes.
A delusion, a false belief or judgment about external reality held despite incontrovertible evidence to the contrary. So a trans woman is not delusional by calling herself a woman, okay? She'd be delusional if she said, yes, I have a vagina, and she still has a penis, okay? That would be the delusion. But that doesn't typically happen, okay? That's not typical. I'm sure it has happened, but the vast majority of trans people know what they're packing, okay? If you recognize, which Charlie Kirk did, that gender doesn't really mean anything, that means that you can be a woman just by saying you're a woman. It has nothing to do with sex, necessarily.
To reality. It is for us to not allow us to be reined under the tyranny of somebody's imagination. Do you have a response, and then we'll wrap it up?
My response would be, you keep referencing reality and people have delusions. Give me a tangible example of how accepting trans people into society hurts us. Give me a tangible, real example. And then usually what they'll bring up is like, well, what if situation of what if a trans woman goes into the bathroom and abuses women in there, which you can then point out, well, we don't have evidence that that's happening, right? Another one that might come up is, well, what about women in sports, like trans women in women's sports, which you can then say, well, they're not hurting anybody by being there. They're not. Like in the vast, you might be able to make that argument if you're talking about contact sports, all right? Maybe. And that's why I think it's important to look at variables such as like how much testosterone do you have, you know, how hard can you punch, stuff like that. But that has, it has some to do with sex, but you should be measuring that stuff independently of sex. Does that make sense? So as far as non-contact sports, you're literally not hurting anybody. A man playing against a woman in tennis is not, like, he's not hurting that woman, okay? He may be more likely to win because like if he has testosterone flowing through his blood, that's usually like, it's you know, energy juice. But if that woman is on T and has the same amount of testosterone, she may very well pull out the victory, or for any other myriad of reasons, she might pull out the victory. And that's not hurting anybody. So that's not a real example of trans women hurting, like the acceptance of trans people hurting society. So I would question Charlie, give me an example of trans acceptance hurting society. He's trying so hard to save it. I feel so bad for this guy. Oh my God.
I'm not going to put you on the spot. I appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, God.
All right, next question.
Yeah, always be prepared, guys. if you got to know what the f you're doing if you go up in one of these things. You have to know what you're doing. And I've noticed people getting better at it.
That's not easy to do at a conservative event. I appreciate that.
No, shut the fuck up.
You need to respect Charlie for that last moment. He backs off.
No, you don't, because he backs off to make himself look like the good guy. Charlie Kirk is a piece of shit.
When the kid is clearly upset and knows that he lost the argument, then tells the crowd to give him a round of applause for his courage. Then finally thanks the kid for standing up. That's class, grace, and respect. I'm trying to hit 100.
Shut the fuck up. Okay. That was stupid. Trans rights are human rights, and go fuck yourself.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more, hit the notification bell to be notified when I upload. If you enjoy my content, you enjoy what I do, I really appreciate any financial help that I can get. Go to youtube.com/AlecGunterTTV/join. You got some awesome benefits, such as seeing early videos, awesome emotes that you can use in the comments of YouTube videos, and a sweet badge next to your name. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'd really appreciate if you join. It is cheaper than the cost of a blowjob from your mom. So with all that being said, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.